Hey, this is Chaplain Tony Repic here. Just want to remind you that this podcast does not imply any endorsement of any commercial organization, product, or belief system. Well, hey everyone, it's Chaplain Repic again here from Biddle Air National Guard Base, the Balance Podcast. I'm really glad you're tuned in today. I have a guest here that I'm super pumped about. He's got some just nuggets of wisdom he's going to share with you. But before we dive in, I just want to remind you guys that the reason we do these podcasts is to help you to be successful both in work and in life in these 4 areas that we would call comprehensive fitness. But they're applicable whether you're in the military or not. And those areas are your physical health, your mental health, your social health, and your spiritual health. And so I'm super excited today to have Duke in the house here. He is one of our bedrock, our pillars here at this wing of all the work that he does. And so what I'm going to do is ask Duke just to introduce himself, how long he's been in the military, what he currently does here at the 111th Attack Wing, and we're going to launch off into a great topic today. So, hey Duke, man, thanks so much for coming in here today at the studio.
Yeah, thank you for having me here today. So, for everyone listening, my name is Duke Elliot Harmon. I'm first sergeant here over the 201st Red Horse to the Horse. My guys out there.
Yeah.
I have been in the military now. This is my 22nd year.
Wow.
Many blessings and many opportunities. Just still growing, still learning, still wanting to get after it. And thank you for having me here today.
Awesome. You know, I love your heart, man. You just said you're still learning, you're still growing. 22 years in service.
Yeah.
You know, and so you and I have had some awesome discussions over the years here, Duke, and you've encouraged me, and I hope I've been an encouragement for you and for our airmen of what we do here together to help people. But one thing that sticks out to me whenever I've talked to you and I watch you in action when you engage our airmen, whether it's the folks now at the Horse because you're the first shirt, or up there at the 103rd Attack Squadron, 111th OSS, the OG in general, as an intel guy, right? You are all about mentoring people, helping people, getting people in front of resources and resources in front of people to help them. Yeah. And so that's why I wanted you to come in today to talk about this concept. And sometimes in military terms and even corporate terms, there's the idea of what is mentoring, mentorship, and it gets real formal and it's programmatic. And not that I have a problem with that, but the way you do it, you take the program out of it, you make it real human. And so I really want to just ask you, how do you define mentorship? How does Duke define mentorship?
Well, mentorship is something that you do. It's one of those intangible things, at least for me, folks that show up. So there's a lot of concepts that revolve around mentorship for me. Showing up, being there, having that phone available, just that communication, checking in with a person, helping them along their path, their journey of life. These are all the things that that revolve around the idea of mentoring, right? And just the repetitions of that, like, hey, checking back in with a person, or people or organizations. And that's really been one of the success for me, at least whenever I'm speaking with individuals or groups or whomever I encounter.
Yeah.
And then also, understanding what their why is. So that's I had a conversation the other day, and we were talking about EPRs and OPRs and things like that. And for my supervisors that are out there, understand we're in a guard and we see our members 1 week in a month, and sometimes it's only that 1 weekend that we really get a chance to check in. One of the biggest things that we can ask our members, whether they're full-time, part-time, family members, or whoever, is ask them what their why is and refine that why.
Love it.
Right?
Love it.
Why are you here today? Why did you put on a uniform? If you became a parent and you didn't know, like, hey, work on that, right? Like, why? Figure out what the why is in your life. And once you identify that, bring in the tools, the resources around you in order to achieve that why. And that's one of the big things when we talk about mentorship, when we talk about really it's that personal,
Yeah.
that personal engagement. And if you don't have those skills of personally engage with others, find people who can, and
Man.
that's
Yeah.
really big.
You nailed a couple huge rocks I want to kind of unpack there. So, first of all, you said it a few times. You said be available and follow up. I think humans have such a hard time here, and that's something I've seen you do with me, with our airmen here. You have this unbelievable ability to do that, and when you think about it, this is not rocket science, but it's intentionality to follow back up, to make that phone call. To re-engage, because sometimes what we do is we have good intentions initially, and then we drop off. We let the person kind of just go away, if you will. So to talk about that for a minute, in your own life, have the idea of that follow-up, have you seen leaders do that well with you, or have you learned because they haven't done that well with you over the years, right?
Well, I'd say the most impactful ones are the ones that do that.
Yeah.
They follow up with you. Even if it's I have these conversations and I relate it to a good friend, right? Like in your life, we have good friends that make us who we are, right? And from knee high, right? So from a little kid on up, right? What makes that person a good friend? Well, they're in your life. Well, how are they in your life? Well, when I'm having a hard time, I give them a call. Or when I'm going through something joyous, I give them a call, right? So as supervisors, for me growing up, I try to treat everyone, it's not just a friend, but, figuring out that intention, because those are the things that help me, help refine the direction I wanted to go, what I wanted to achieve in life, things that I have, things that I want to have, or even that spiritual bound, that spiritual faith, getting closer to my faith. And those are the things, at least from the leaders that I had in my life who helped me on my journey, right? And those are the things that I like to do back, right? That, I had crazy influences, just little nuggets of information that people don't even know or aware that they had an impact. But I remind them of that because people had done that to me. They were like, "Hey, Duke, do you remember this time where you helped me?" And sometimes I don't. I'm like, I have no idea that I made that impact. But thank you for telling me that, because that awareness brings confidence. It brings intention, it brings dedication, it brings these different ideas that I gather in my toolbox and offer back. Especially as a leader in organization,
right.
in the organization, whether it be Red Horse, whether it be for the wing, whether it be for the OG, or wherever I'm at, representing the Air Force. A lot of missions is just me. So when we unpack that, it's those things that I've been able to gather that I want to make sure that I give back out.
Sure.
Because it makes the world.
Right. And that's, I think, where the follow-up comes in, is because, you got to circle back around to these individuals, because you may not have gotten everything in that initial sit down with them, if you will, and you're able to gather more thoughts and remember more resources. And so when you're reaching out, you're dropping some more of those tools into their toolkit for them to help them along their mentoring journey, right? So I heard you say that was the first one. Is the key is the follow up. There's no order to this, because I think as we unpack a few other things you said, we could probably move the order around and how we logically think through what mentoring is. So follow up's a key component if you're mentoring somebody, right? But you mentioned something, and you and I have had these discussions a lot. You mentioned this idea of find somebody that will be your mentor, right? I think there's an expectation in life that I'm owed a mentor. It's owed to me. Look, there's no such thing.
Not at all.
You don't. We've talked about this. Opportunity doesn't just fall from the sky and hit you in the head. You got to go look for it, right?
You got to find it.
And just because people are in positions whether it's a senior enlisted or it's a senior officer or an officer in general, it doesn't mean that they're going to be good mentors.
Correct.
So you have to find them.
Yeah.
And sometimes you find them in unbelievable ways. Maybe they're even lower in rank because they have experiences outside the service, or it's a civilian you're learning from. You know, that repertoire of finding a mentor. Mm-hmm. So unpack that a little bit for me too. So talk a little bit about where have you found mentorship, and just how do you encourage others to think outside the box here?
So for those that don't know me, and as I'm explaining myself, like, I'm a big proponent for family. And family has allowed me to do everything in life. So for me, my mentor was my little brother, right? So in our journey growing up, you know, we were in school together, and, you know, he was 2 grades younger than me. And, you know, I was like, hey, man, graduate this year, you know, kick butt. But he's always had the ideas. He wanted to join the military. I never had any intention of joining the military. So I'm going to go to school. You know, if I join the military, they're going to yell at me, yada yada yada, right? all the things, right? So, you know, I'm going to school. You know, my second year in, I'm visiting him. This is now his first year in the military, and I was like, "Yo, how is it?" He goes, "Man, it's not too bad. You know, it's everything that I was telling you about." And I was like, "All right, cool." And no, they don't yell at you. So I was like, all right, cool. So, you know, you're running out of money, and you're like, oh, man, I really want to get back to college. So so I'm trying to figure this out. Like, I'll join the military, I'll do a couple of years, and then I'll continue my education. And the one day he goes to me, he's like, yeah, because now it's his second year in, and he's like, yeah, I think I'm going to switch over and do this career field. And I was like, that's cool, because, you know, mom and dad, they did Intel, they did different things in the Navy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I'm going to be an architect. I'm going to start off CE. This is what I'm going to do. And it's just him encouraging me.
Interesting.
So he was always my role. He was my mentor. He was my role model.
And you said that's your younger brother.
That's my younger brother.
Yeah. See, right? We have this idea that they got to be older, wiser, if you will, but it's your younger brother.
And
wow.
And I joined off, went into the Air Force, and you know, and he's been there. He had been there every step of the way. Every step of the way, from getting back to my unit. He didn't know about the whole guard thing. And then the roles reversed. So now I'm showing him the guard.
That's awesome.
And he's showing me the active, and we always had that back and forth. Yeah. But so family, right? I look within, again, right, my huge proponent of looking within my family. And then outside of that, right, those are my mentors. And then being in the military, you know, my first military mentors were, so when I started off, I was a recruiter's assistant, and it was those guys, you know, seeing a young airman coming in, they scooped me up, I needed a job, they're able to put me on some orders, and they really helped direct my military career path along the way, and got me introduced to different programs, and that was it from the first year. It just kind of shot out, and I've been rolling ever since.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
So in that aspect, the mentor, I didn't necessarily seek it. It just came to me. Mm-hmm. You know, just folks looking out for me, right? Really just trying to help guide me along my journey, right? Whether it was having things like moving out, getting my own apartment, and point me in the direction that I needed to be at the time that I needed to be, that I wanted to be there. Yeah. So, and then as I got higher in rank, or even in different situations, it's me recognizing, you know, myself and other folks. So that was me giving back. Like, that was, oh, you know what? I went through that same thing. Here's how you can navigate the situation.
I messed up here. Don't do what I did.
Don't do what I did, right? And when you see people like that, you know, when we talk about mentoring, you see folks like that are offering that help. dig deeper, right? Ask the follow-on question. If you see that correction, right? Because you never know where at a certain point, you'll never know where a mentor is at in the person as you meet them. So,
yeah. I think too the one thing you're pointing out is, and you mentioned it at the beginning, I want to nail it again, that you are still learning and you desire to grow. You can't infuse that into people, right? So part of mentoring is being willing to learn from anybody. Again, younger than you, less ranked than you, and those obviously that have more experience and rank than you. Because at the end of the day, we should be trying to grow and improve, but we also then and I use this technique in counseling. When I counsel someone through a hard time, you know what I'll tell them as we get through their difficult scenario situation, maybe some practical tools. I will tell them, now you need to be ready to help somebody because you've been through a hard time. The best thing we can do is pay that forward. And so what I like about the approach you take in mentoring, again, it's not formulaic. You're not talking about every week you come together on a spreadsheet and you check your block and you circle it and you put a diamond around it. And, again, there's nothing wrong with doing those things. But when we make them programmatic, they're not natural. You lose it, right? So again, the art's in the follow-up. The art's in a good attitude and seeking out people. Seek information and just take what people give you, try to apply it, try to grow and learn from it, be willing to give it away. And then this third concept that you mentioned, I want to talk a little bit about this. I think in another podcast I brought this up, but I think this is relevant right now because you mentioned it. Is this idea of the why. How to keep the why alive. Because if you have a why, you're going to be hungry to not only learn, but you're going to be passionate about dumping into other people, right? And that's what mentoring is. So talk about how do you drum up a why, or how do we hold on to our why?
Well, like you said, how do you drum up what is your why? When you wake up in the morning and you're starting your day, your why could be anything. It can come from everywhere. Whether you're looking yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, I'm going to wash my face today. That's my why. For that moment, for that second. And then you start building on your whys. And eventually you're going to get to a point where it's like, you know what, I want to do something, right? Whether it's run, physical, some sort of physical activity every day, whether it be, attaining a financial goal, whether it be attaining a monetary goal. Your whys can come from it. Heck, it can even be from your kids. Dad, I want to go to Disneyland. Well, there's an unexpected why there.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the goal.
Yeah.
Right? Your why is your intention. Your why can equal your intention in life, and it can be, organizationally set. Strives like ALS, NCOA, all your PME stuff, or it can be self-driven, right? And if you can marry the two, or if you can figure out a way to balance the two, there lies in your why. Don't overthink it. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It doesn't have to be, and that's a bad analogy because it could be rocket science. But it doesn't have to be hard. Start with small things and move to the next. And as soon as you accomplish that goal or that why, seek another why, or allow yourself to be open to another why. And that's really it. And if you are a mentor, or if you are a parent, guardian, and you see a person that is a little lost, ask them, hey, why are you lost?
That's good.
Or why are you doing the thing that you're doing? So some people never think about it. They're like, oh, well, I'm a parent. I'm supposed to do this, or I'm supposed to do that, or but that why is your drive, can be your drive.
Sure.
You know, is that what you want to do, or is that what is expected from you? And you have to be able to figure that out, or at least be around others that help you figure out your whys.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
So there's a lot of introspective, a lot of guidance and pushing whenever you find your why.
Yeah, I think you just said introspection is that wrestling with my purpose and am I aiming toward it. I think there's an element of curiosity that connects to it. That should lead us to find people that can mentor us, because I'm curious about this area of my life that I want to improve in, or this promotion that I want, or how do I navigate this new AFSC, or if I'm a spouse, how do I get a job where, you know, next week my spouse, we might move to another state or
a country,
go on a TDY somewhere that I'm going to leave for a while, right? So all these elements. So for those that are listening then, right, I was trying to make this a little bit practical. Because, you know, it could be awkward. Like, do you just approach someone and be like, hey, can you mentor me? It's not how it really works, right? So how do you tell somebody that's listening right now who has some curiosity about whatever it may be in life, and they want to seek someone out? Give some examples of, or ways, practical ways that they can do this.
So if you are a student and you're at school and you want to do something, or if you want to be a teacher, right? Let's just use that. You should just ask the teacher.
Yeah, right? It's that simple, right?
It can be that simple.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you go to work every day and you find yourself maybe not happy, right? And you say, I want to change that, and you see another person happy, talk to them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes it's just that simple of, hey, like, why is it that you're happy, right? Why is it that every time I see you, you're drinking coffee every day? Is it because you like it, or is it an addiction? I don't know.
Right.
Which one is it? It could be a little of both, but asking them, right? I've also had people out of the blue come to me and said, hey, Duke, I want you to mentor me.
Fantastic.
And
it's
you
awesome.
know what?
Yeah.
From that, like, okay, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
So what is it? What is your why? Like, what is it that you want to get after? And I've had to turn some away because I wasn't the right fit for their why. But we have discussed that. We figured that out between the two of us, and says, hey, you know what? You want to be a pilot? Well, I'm not a pilot, but I know a pilot that has the space and has a breadth of knowledge and the wisdom to put you on the right path. And then what I do then is I follow up. So the next week,
there it is. Yeah.
Hey, how did the conversation go?
Yeah.
Oh, well, you didn't talk to him. Why not? Or you didn't talk to him.
Nice. Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah.
Oh, it was a bad time? Well, when is a good time?
Yeah.
And then after that, I'll follow up again.
Yeah.
Hey, did you finally have that conversation? Right. Oh, you did. How'd it go? Well, let's keep that going.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to ask you later on, just like we said before, to help guide someone else.
That's fantastic. Yeah. And I think, well, I want to point this out. You just mentioned that you weren't the one that gave them some direct knowledge about becoming a pilot, because you're not, but you still you're mentoring them because you're helping them connect to the right resource that can help them. Yeah. And then the key, again, you talked about this earlier, is that the art's in the follow-up.
Yeah.
Staying and being intentional about it, coming back around. So, again, this doesn't seem like it's super difficult.
No.
And sometimes I think we don't even realize we're probably mentoring and being mentored. But we all need this in our life, period. Yeah. So for those of you that are listening and you don't have somebody, maybe you're just like, it's not worth it, they don't have the time. Look, you know, Duke mentioned a couple things. One, you could flat out ask someone to mentor you.
Yeah.
Two, you just ask good questions, and it leads you to the right resources. It leads you to the right relationships that need to connect you to where your why is taking you, right? And again, I think we all need to, and you could back me up on this, dude. We need to stop looking at it as they need to be in higher rank.
Yeah.
They need to be better off financially if it's finances. They need to be better in physical fitness because that's not always the case.
It's not always the case.
The key though is connecting with somebody or people in general.
Correct.
And then being willing to now dump that knowledge into somebody else. And if we did that, and I think we do a good job of doing 111 to this.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for the first shirts what they're doing now, but with you on that team, I can't see how they're not.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this shirt group has got to be the best group that I've seen since I've been here, and that's no knock on previous shirt groups, right?
No, not at all.
But you know, just this idea of mentorship.
And with this, you know, even with us within the shirts, there's often times where I have to call a shirt and be like, hey, I need help with this. Now, I get it for those who are not in the military and understand the shirt life, right? So there's an expectation. As leaders, there's always going to be an underlying expectation that you either know everything or have the answers for everything. And that's not the case. So as our council, right, we lean on one another all the time. And that's what we're there for. One of the coolest advice that I've gotten from one of my leaders, my previous leaders, was a ship doesn't turn on a dime. And you have to, you know, tell, hey, we need to go left rudder. We have to ease our way to left or right. So when we make these decisions, or if we have guidance to our commanders, our shirts, right, we have to take a step back and really be able to piecemeal, make sure that we have all the variations of the answers, so that they can make a decision. So that, you know, we empower them to make the best decision possible.
Sure.
So that's, you know, our counsel and us leaning on one another. That is all part of that mentorship.
Absolutely.
We mentor each other all the time.
Absolutely.
And sometimes, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, previous shirts, there's a saying, once a shirt, always a shirt. And I can't tell you how many previous shirts that I go to for
that's awesome.
For advice, right? For mentorship, right?
Yeah.
For guidance on decisions, right?
Sure.
Some of my colleagues and leaders who, even within my OG organization, I go to them and I say, hey, am I seeing something right? Is this what I see? Is that what I'm seeing, or is it something else, right? If I want to make an impact, or if I want to change something in an organization, I don't just make the change. I seek the advice of others, right? That's part of that mentoring. That's part of that growth.
Absolutely.
That's not just senior leaders, but as leaders, generally speaking. Is you try to get the most out of the others that are around you, as far as information. Hey, when you want to make a change, and it's awesome because they just feed into me as I give it right back out to not just younger folks, but the people around me. Because it's always that two-way street of information.
It sounds like to me you've adopted, and I know I have, and in a minute I'm going to share a resource that I've been using and going to, and maybe you have some as well. But mentoring for you is just a way of life.
It's a way of life.
That's how I look at it with my kids at home. When I counsel folks here, I look at every opportunity as a mentor opportunity, and I seek it. I seek it a lot from other folks to make sure, like you had said, am I thinking right about this? Because you know, in the shirt role, in the chaplain role, we advise a lot.
Yes, we do.
And we're trying to give advice and not tell people like you should be done this way, but to give different flavors and let them kind of see the bigger picture, right?
When we develop our leaderships, you know, as we develop our leadership skills, you find that the best leaders are asking their circle, their team on a decision. They're not making the knee-jerk reaction to a decision. I mean, of course, there are going to be times that you have to, as a leader. And yes, you're going to fall, you're going to bump your head, and you may injure yourself. But if you have a good team there, and if you have a good support system, right, mentors, colleagues, they're going to help you get back to the right decision. Right. Or they may even stop that decision. Hey, no, that's not it.
Right. Well, and if they know your heart too, they allow you and give you latitude sometimes to fail, if you will, or to make mistakes.
Or to make a mistake.
Because you're willing to take feedback and advice, and you're willing to give it, and that mentor-mentee kind of relationship. So as we get close to wrapping this up, and Duke, I want to have you back on some other topics. We could probably flesh out 5 or 6 more. The one book for me, and I'll give you a chance to maybe share a resource, a book I read years ago. It's still super relevant. It's called The Mentor Leader by Tony Dungy. Dungy is an analyst for football on NBC. Sunday Night Football, was a coach, a Super Bowl winning coach. He played for the Pittsburgh Steelers back in the 70s. He has just a really amazing, soft approach at loving these young athletes that get into the league and helping mentor them along the way. So that's a resource I recommend. Called again, The Mentor Leader by Tony Dungy. Do you have anything to offer up or share?
I do. There's a book that when I was down at shirt school, First Sergeant School, a fellow shirt who was going through the program with me, he gave me a book, and it kind of impacted me. Finding Your Why, right? Finding Your Why. It's a practical guide for discovering purpose for you and your team, by David Mead, Peter Docker, and Simon Sinek.
Nice.
So Simon Sinek, as most folks may have heard of, does podcasts, he does YouTube videos, but he helps finding that why. And as leaders, when we raise a team or build a team or inject it into a team, that's one of the things you want to know where you're at, or your purpose, your role. You got to find out your why, and that was something that I pass on. And one last thing. So this morning I had a conversation, me checking in with one of my leaders in my section.
Surprised.
That's
just you, man. That's awesome. Yeah.
And I was like, hey, man, do it. Am I seeing what I think I see here? And we went through it, and he goes, I have something for you to share. So I'm going to read this here. It's by Earl Nightingale. 1 hour per day of study in your chosen field is all it takes. 1 hour per day of study will put you at the top of your field within 3 years. Within 5 years, you'll be a national authority. In 7 years, you could be one of the best people in the world at what you do.
Wow. 1 hour a day.
1 hour a day.
How practical is that? It can be done.
It can be done.
Yeah.
So as you're looking for your why, and you're looking for, your mentor, or you are mentoring someone, just remember that. Just remember it takes 1 hour a day to get good at or achieve your
that's
dreams.
Awesome. Yeah.
So
it can be done. But like anything else, you have to do it.
You have to do it.
Just do it. Yeah. So, man, this has been really good, Duke. Yeah. I know our folks here at the Wing that listen, folks that listen, again, across the DOD, there's no way there's not something they take out of this. Correct. Again, if you are a learner and you want to grow in life, and you just want different perspectives, you want to become a better leader, a better mentor, a better mentee, and to know how to ask questions to somebody to help them or to help you get to that why in life and where you want to go, then this is the podcast for you. I'm glad you tuned in today. So I want to just summarize a couple things as we close today, right? So you mentioned, again, not in any particular order, that one of the keys is we got to figure out our why. If we have a why, it's going to lead us to ask good questions, to find the right mentor, if you will, to get to where we are trying to get to, and then in turn you become a mentor to someone who's then in the same situation.
Yes.
There's an art and a science, if you will, in the follow-up. So if mentors, follow up with folks that you're helping along the way. And again, I want to have you back because we can flesh a couple of things out a little deeper. And then I would say a fourth one is we just got to do this. Just do it.
Just do it.
just take a step forward. And in 1 hour a day, if you get good at your craft, you get good at mentoring and talking to folks, that's going to just expand your leadership capacity in your role in the military, your role at home as a parent, your role in a company outside the military one day. And it will prove to be just immeasurable for your personal growth and professional growth. So Duke, I'm so grateful that you came in today. Thanks for sitting down. Again, we're going to do this again. And again, this is the podcast here called The Balance that we do at Biddle Air National Guard Base. I'm Chaplain Tony Repic. Again, we are trying to give you tools and resources to make you more successful in work and healthy in life, or vice versa, healthy at work, successful in life, but tie it all together so that your mind, your body, your social sphere, and your spiritual capacity is developing, growing, and increasing. So again, thanks for tuning in, and hey, we're out here. Have a great day.